Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I'm Nick Zulovich, part of the team at Cherokee Media Group and Senior Editor of Auto Fin Journal and Subprime Auto Finance News. In today's webinar, Apple Business Chat for Automotive, How to Build Your Strategy, we're going to learn more from Therese Ailman, the Senior Director of Marketing with Contact at One. But before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items for today's webinar. Please make sure you dialed in using the phone number provided in your communication email, or you're able to listen via your PC speakers. We are recording today's webinar, and we'll make that recording available to you as soon as possible. You will be in listen-only mode for this webinar, but we will reserve some time after the presentation for a Q&A session. You can submit your questions at any time through the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. And if we aren't able to get to your question today, don't worry, because we'll forward it on to the team at Contact at One so they can respond back to you directly via email. And lastly, if you have any difficulty during the webinar, please click on the hand icon on the GoToWebinar control panel to alert a member of our team. So with plenty of knowledge and recommendations to share, let's get right to Therese for our webinar. Therese, the floor is now yours.
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. We're so happy to be here with you today and to be able to share information on an exciting announcement that we made earlier this month, and also we think is exciting for the automotive industry as it opens up a whole new channel for dealerships and manufacturers and providers to reach out to communicate and connect with consumers. So let's talk a little bit about what Apple Business Chat is, if you haven't had a chance to read up on it yet. Apple launched Business Chat as a beta about 18 months ago, and their goal is and they've been evolving this program since, but their goal is to make it simple for consumers to connect with businesses and quickly get answers that they're looking for. And Apple's been very focused the entire time with the announcement of Business Chat to keeping the experience a good experience for their users and for their consumers who are connecting with businesses. So you'll hear us talk all the way through today about how we make this a good experience for automotive shoppers. Contact at Once announced earlier this month that we are now a customer service platform for Apple Business Chat, and we'll talk about what that means and how that affects Contact at Once customers and other automotive companies. But for now, just to know that customer service platforms are a required and important part of the Apple Business Chat ecosystem. We are a part of LivePerson, as many of you may know, and LivePerson was one of the first customer service platforms who launched with Apple Business Chat. As you can see, in just a few short months, there have been several large companies who have come on as customer service platforms for Apple Business Chat. Contact at Once right now, as far as we know, is the only one that is specifically focused on automotive. Of course, our entire domain knowledge is in automotive, so we are excited about the opportunity of applying our automotive knowledge and our domain expertise to Apple Business Chat to help dealers and manufacturers use this new channel. And why is this new channel so exciting? It probably goes without saying. There are about 1.3 billion Apple devices out there across the world. So this gives businesses the opportunity to be inside the phone of over 1 billion consumers, and that is just a huge audience that is immediately available to create connections with. So when you have customers discovering you through their Messages app, that's just automatically going to be a good connection for you to make. So let's talk a little bit about how it works. I just mentioned that consumers discover, and that is an important part of this that everyone should understand. Businesses don't reach out to consumers through Apple Business Chat. It's the other way around. So consumers discover your business through one of many of the Apple entry points, the iOS entry points, which we'll discuss in depth in a few minutes. But using their iPad, their iPhone, or a Mac, really any device running 11.03 or higher from an operating system perspective can connect with businesses through Apple Business Chat. And really, it's a pretty simple process. When a consumer goes into one of the iOS entry points, they'll see a button to message. If you are there, they look for you, they'll see a button to message with you, and they can start a conversation with you directly in their Messages app. Again, like I said, only consumers start conversations, and the consumer can leave the conversation open as long as they want to. I started a conversation. Home Depot is one of the first retail brands who launched with LivePerson over a year ago. And I personally started an Apple Business Chat with Home Depot several months ago, and I go back to it frequently if I have questions about, a lawnmower or knobs for my kitchen cabinets, and I can quickly chat with someone at Home Depot and get information. They can even send me rich media that shows me what aisle a product is on, what bin it's in. So I just keep that conversation open. Consumers can do that as long as they want. Again, like I said, Apple is committed to their consumers having an excellent experience, and businesses are required to agree to, as a part of the terms of use, to providing timely responses and helping consumers with their questions. So one of the things that we looked at when we said, okay, we want to be a customer service platform for Apple Business Chat, how do we help our customers meet this goal? How do we help our dealerships and our customers have a good, consistent conversation with consumers who connect through Apple Business Chat? And we think we came up with a pretty good answer, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. Just so you're aware, and we'll show you some of these in a few minutes, there are some common use cases that almost any automotive dealer can deploy. There's also a lot of opportunity for customization here. I mean, this is a very rich environment. And so businesses are able to customize use cases and use Apple Business Chat in a way that helps their business serve their customers better. But there are some basic use cases that if you're an automotive dealer and you use Contact at Once as your customer service platform, there are going to be some basic use cases that will be available to you just out of the box, and we'll talk about those today. So consumers use this product in a number of different ways, and it's almost the same way that you would think of that a consumer would use any online product at this point to do what we call conversational commerce. Online shopping, ordering products, scheduling appointments. We've already started to analyze some of the automotive conversations that have been going back and forth between dealers and consumers through Apple Business Chat, those dealers who we have already launched on the program. And consumers are asking about available inventory. It's interesting because the same questions that consumers ask through other messaging, they're also asking through Apple Business Chat. And they're asking about new cars and inventory just as much as they're asking about service. Frankly, I'll tell you all, we kind of thought that service might be the first area where consumers would adopt Apple Business Chat, but what we're finding so far is that they're just as interested in talking about the sales aspect of the business as they are about talking about getting their cars serviced and scheduling service appointments. We will soon be able to offer Apple Pay to our customers as well as a part of our customer service platform. Apple Pay is available right now, and consumers can obviously pay for products and services through Apple Pay through Apple Business Chat. One of the most important things about being a customer service platform is that it allows us to securely authenticate users so that they can share sensitive information like credit cards or credit apps or information that they might want to share with you in the process of buying a car. They can share and not have to worry about that information not being encrypted. So let's talk a little bit about the entry points. Probably about half of you have an iPhone or an iPad. That tends to be about the number. I think we're seeing about half and half at this point with Android and Apple devices. If you have an Apple device, then I'm sure that you're familiar with these entry points: Safari, the Maps, Siri, and Spotlight. All of those are entry points where consumers can discover businesses who are using Apple Business Chat. There's also an opportunity for you to put an Apple Business Chat connection on your website. And we're seeing people who are actually taking advantage of that one. So if they search your website, they search for your website on a mobile device, an iOS device, and that option comes up for them, and it's just like messaging through Messages, but they can do it directly from your website. To talk a little bit about the functionality that the consumer sees. So now a consumer has gone in. I have searched for, I've asked Siri about, I drive a Mazda, so I've asked Siri about a Mazda dealer in my area that can do a 30,000-mile visit. And so Siri has given me a couple of choices, and I've made a choice and clicked on one of those Mazda dealers that I'm interested in. Now I can, through my app, right on my phone, I'm going to see an option to pick from several things that I would like to do. This is called a pick list. It can be customized to whatever the business wants it to be. As a matter of fact, honestly, if you don't like this as a part of your customer experience, you don't have to use the pick list. Everything is very customizable when it comes to how you want to use this and what the strategy is that you want to use. But this is a really good tool for people, for consumers who may not know exactly what they're looking for, or they may know exactly what they're looking for and they want to get to it faster. So pick lists are available, and like I said, you can make those pick lists be what you want them to be to fit your business. There are also schedulers. So this, obviously, one of the best examples of how you could use this is to schedule service appointments. And what this does is pushes this, Apple Business Chat pushes this graphical interface for scheduling an appointment to the consumer. The consumer chooses, and then it sends a text message back to the agent so that the agent can actually schedule the appointment on the back end. There's also rich media that's available, so we can share videos, we can share links, we can share photos, we can share PDFs, we can share vehicle history reports. So if a consumer is interested in, and I've actually seen a couple of these conversations where a consumer will say, hey, wanting to know if this car is still available, the agent can send them information on the inventory. They can even go out, take a video of the car, and send the video through Apple Business Chat to the consumer. So it's a very rich environment. If you think of text as a 2D type of environment, Apple Business Chat is a 3 or even 4D type of environment. It just really adds a lot of dimension and a lot of richness to the conversation. Of course, there's the opportunity to do text and images, like I said, and then we talked about the list picker. And so just so you can see here on the entry point, this is what it would look like for someone who searched for a dealership in Safari, for example. And we've talked about the scheduler, so we'll go on to the agent view. So what do the agents see on the back end? And as with Contact at Once as your customer service platform, the agent answering app that you will use is our answering app called Connect. Connect allows the agent to see not only the Apple Business Chat conversations, but also any other conversations that they may have that are coming in from other channels, such as Auto Trader or other advertising that you might be doing, Facebook. The agents that are answering conversations on your behalf can see all of their conversations in one view. They can manage their conversations through this one view, and of course it tracks everything. Also, if you are a direct customer of Contact at Once, you have access to several digital retailing and other tools that we have. You'll see those on the right, where we can push inventory feeds, vehicle history reports, and other tools. We can customize to push other tools that you might be interested in, basically mirroring your website so that you can use the tools that you're already invested in to connect with your customers and push content to them. This is really important because, as we said, the Apple Business Chat environment is a rich environment, and it enables a lot of media, and people love to see videos and engage with media. And so Connect helps manage that process and allows you to actually take advantage of being able to share media with consumers through Apple Business Chat. So let's talk a little bit about how to get started. So there are a couple of ways that you can do this. You can do it yourself. You can go to the Apple Business Register, which is apple.register.com. You're going to need an Apple ID, and then you're going to need a Business Chat ID. You will need to choose a customer service platform. That list will be presented to you. Again, Contact at Once is one that is providing Apple Business Chat to automotive companies, and we specialize in automotive companies. You'll need logos that are a specific size and that fit the specifications that Apple has for this. You need the ability to provide a consistently great consumer experience. And then we want to talk to you today about, we also feel that you need a plan that helps Apple Business Chat fit into your overall conversational strategy. So you can go to apple.register.com and start this process. Once you select Contact at Once as your customer service platform, we will be notified, and we will then get in touch with you to help you complete the process. The other thing that you can do is just go to our website, which is contactatonce.com/apple-business-chat. And I will show this again at the end of the presentation. You just type in your information there, and we'll get back in touch with you, and we'll walk you through the whole process. Many of our customers who have already signed up have found this to be the easier way, because when you get into the Apple portal, there can be, there are different words used for different things than we might necessarily use them in automotive. So it helps to have someone who's already been through this process as we have. So, and we're happy to help you get signed up. Let's talk a little bit about what our customer service platforms do and why you need one. The customer service platforms are an important part of Apple Business Chat because they provide scale, security, and they allow for consistency of the way that consumers are managed. So you can't do Apple Business Chat without choosing a customer service platform. The customer service platform enables you to connect with consumers. It manages the messages as they go back and forth between you, the consumer, and Apple. And again, there's encryption and a lot of technology in the background that's allowing these conversations to happen at scale, meaning many of them at the same time, and securely. So let's talk a little bit about, some of you on the phone may be existing Contact at Once customers, some of you may not be. Let's talk a little bit about how this works with Contact at Once as the customer service platform. If you're a current customer of Contact at Once and you are already using our Connect platform and you already are using us to tango with your customers, in other words, you may be answering some of your conversations and you have us back you up when you're not available, then you are ready to go. You just need to let us know that you'd like to sign up for Apple Business Chat and we can get you on board. If you are one of the businesses that uses Contact at Once through third-party advertising like AutoTrader, you may also have Connect as well, the Connect app as well. It is a requirement that you have the Connect app in order to be able to manage the Apple Business Chat conversations. Here's the good news. If you, even if you're not using Contact at Once as a direct customer and you're not using it on your website, if you choose to use Connect to manage Apple Business Chat conversations, you can also manage your AutoTrader conversations, your other advertising conversations, Facebook, and many others through this one channel, so you can have one interface to manage all of those connections and conversations. Again, like I said, you will need the Connect app, and you do need backup answering, or what we call Tango. And the reason why you need that is because Apple, again, wants this to be a very good experience. What we've found in the early days, and we're about 3 weeks into launching some of our customers, but what we found is consumers are just as likely to message after hours as they are during normal business hours. And so we want them to have a good experience and be able to connect with someone even if they're messaging at 10 o'clock at night or, on the weekends. And then, as I said earlier, there are several out-of-the-box use cases that are included with the basic Apple Business Chat implementation. There's also the ability to customize. That's a different price. There would be charges for customization, but there's a lot of capability to do that to meet your business needs. So we started looking at conversations over the last week, just because we've had several come in now, and so we wanted to just kind of get an idea of very early on how consumers were using Apple Business Chat. So we looked at about 500 messages that had gone back and forth, and we saw that, like I said, they were just as likely to use it overnight as they are during the day. The average conversation was open a little over an hour and a half, so it's a pretty significant conversation, and the average conversation contained 20 messages, an average of 20 messages back and forth. So these are meaningful conversations where there's significant interaction going back and forth between the consumer and the business. They ask specific questions about availability, features, inventory, and service. So the two most popular topics so far were vehicle of interest or vehicle availability, and getting service for their car parts and service. Consumers are willing to share their contact information. Now, this is something that I need to point out. So when a consumer messages through Apple Messages with a business, you do not see their phone number or their name. As a matter of fact, if you ask them immediately for their phone number or their name, it's a little disconcerting to people sometimes, because they don't immediately get the fact that you don't have that information in front of you. You don't know who they are as it would be, because the consumer experience is very similar to what, it looks exactly like what you would see if you were messaging with your mom or your best friend. But you can't see the consumer's information is masked. So we found that they are willing to give their names and telephone numbers when they're getting the information that they want. But one of the things that we strongly are advising is that you don't treat them like a lead. Unlike some of the other lead channels that we've had in automotive in the past, this is really a very conversational channel, and these people are trusting that you're going to have a conversation with them when they choose to reach out to you over messages. I don't know how many of you have had this happen to you in the last couple, 3 weeks, but I had received several text messages from political campaigns that I did not opt in to receive I don't opt in to receive text messages from almost anybody. But I certainly didn't from several political campaigns. And of course, it's a very heated political season, so not surprised that they're using text. But in the cases where I got those messages, it was something that made me feel that my privacy, there was questions in my mind about, well, how did they get my number? What are they doing? Why are they sending me text? So text and messaging is a very private channel to most of us, and so when we're trusting someone and we're inviting them into that channel, we want them to treat us in a way that is helpful and is relationship oriented. We want you to look at Apple Business Chat as a part of your overall conversational strategy, and that conversational strategy needs to involve all these channels. If you're not on Google My Business, you certainly need to be. If you're not using Facebook, of course, that's a channel that you should be looking at. A lot of people are looking at digital retailing. The way that you should look at Apple Business Chat is it's another channel that enables you to connect with the consumers, but all of these do. And so you want to be able to manage all of those connections and create conversations with consumers in whatever channel they're available in and the one that they want to communicate with you at the time in. So consider not just Apple Business Chat, but also all of these other opportunities to create connections with consumers. And then how does Apple Business Chat fit into that, and how are you driving your overall conversational strategy? One thing that I would advise that you look at doing, and this is something that we're encouraging our customers to do too, is to keep digital conversations digital. I think that we've seen this over the years in the automotive industry of where chat and messaging has become more and more popular in the last 5 or 6 years. And as it's become more popular, we go for the phone number, or we go for the email address or the name right away. And sometimes people don't want to communicate over email or phone. If you've got a live person in a conversation on text or messaging, and you convert that to an email or a phone call, you just created a situation where you have to do the follow-up. And we all know that it's hard sometimes to get people to return phone calls or to return emails. So if you have people who are reaching out to you in a digital channel, we encourage you to keep the conversation digital and try to work through the conversation with them in the channel that they prefer. It'll cut down on slippage that we see, where when we convert these digital conversations to an email or a phone, and then we start the phone tag, and then there's slippage always when we're playing phone tag or we're playing email tag, when we had them in a live conversation to begin with. So a couple of things for Apple Business Chat specifically that you can use, and also think in terms of text and messaging. I mean, messaging is a fabulous channel because it really gives us a lot of opportunity to customize and to connect with consumers in a way that is that flattens the conversation. Nobody has to wait for somebody to get back to them. We're okay with latency in a messaging conversation that we would never be in a phone conversation. So messaging really has some unique attributes that make it a great channel. Like I said, consider using some customized use cases for your sales and service department. You've got an opportunity with Apple Business Chat to customize to things that you want to do with your business. So dream a little dream and think about how you could use Apple Business Chat in a unique way for your business. Also look at fixed ops. We're seeing more and more as sales flatten, that fixed ops becomes a bigger and bigger part of the profitability of the dealership. Text and messaging in fixed ops is just a beautiful thing because customers can talk to your service advisors back and forth on text. They can share videos, they can share photos, they can approve repair orders, and it really is a great channel for taking the service conversation and enabling it over text. And your guys are not having to constantly make phone calls out, leave voicemails, and wait for customers to get back to them. You can add Apple Pay for parts and services, and we would say that would be obviously a great use of Apple Business Chat. And then you can also use Apple Business Chat to push content, as we talked about earlier. So think about what's the content that you might have that you would want to push out to your users. I'm going to wrap up here with a couple of questions that people always ask us, and then I'll take any questions that we have from the audience. So we get this question quite often. I'm a customer of Contact at Once. What do I need to do? As I said earlier, if you're already using Connect, the answering app, and you have us backing you up or answering for you, then you're good. You just need to let us know that you'd like to enable the Apple Business Chat channel, and we will get that started for you. If you're using our older desktop solution, which some of you may be, you'll need to upgrade to Connect. You have to uninstall that desktop app and upgrade to Connect. And there are a lot of other great reasons for you to migrate to Connect too, so we want to encourage you to do that. And then once you're migrated to Connect, we'll need to make sure that you're on an answering package so that we can back you up if someone wants to get in touch with you when you're not available, and then you'll be ready to go. People ask us if they have to use Contact at Once on your website in order to use Apple Business Chat. Some of you may be using another messaging platform on your website, and that's okay. You do not have to use Contact at Once on your website in order to use us as a customer service platform for Apple Business Chat. What that will mean is that you'll have a couple of answering apps that you'll have to keep up with. You still do have to use Connect for your Apple Business Chat conversations, and you have to have backup answering for Apple Business Chat conversations coming through Connect. So you can do that, but you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna have to manage 2 different apps. And we are capable of managing all of it through Connect if you'd like to look at doing that. And then back to the why do I have to tangle or use Chat Receptionist. I think we covered this pretty well, but just so that the consumer experience is good. When consumers connect through Apple Business Chat, we want them to have a really good experience. So we feel like that it's better for the user if we have people backing you up so that when you are not available to answer, someone can. And it's actually kind of a good business practice anyway, because we see more and more that more and more conversations happen after hours or on weekends. And so you don't want to miss conversations. There's no need in missing connections when consumers are reaching out to you. So this is a good way to create more payoff from the advertising and the marketing dollars that you're spending just by creating more connections. If you want more information about Apple Business Chat, you can visit our website. You can also text us at that number, and we'll get back to you with any questions that you have. And then I can also take questions from the audience if there are any.
Thank you so much, Therese. A lot of great information about an exciting new platform that's just come to be this year. Again, that's Therese Ailman, who is the Senior Director of Marketing at Contact at Once, our special guest for our webinar today, Apple Business Chat for Automotive, how to build your strategy. And if you have any questions for Therese, please use the questions box on the GoToWebinar control panel. And just as a reminder, we are recording today's webinar, so please keep watch of your inbox for a link to that recording coming as soon as possible so you can review this information and share it with other people at your store. And a lot of good questions have already come in, Therese. One place to get started, individuals asking that they have an Apple, potentially a consumer has an Apple device, but they have Google as their default search engine in Safari. Will that still work as an entry point if Google is in the mix as well?
It will. You have to be in Safari to actually see the entry point from Safari. So if you search in Google, so you have Google set as your default search, you won't see the entry point, but you will see it in Safari, Spotlight, Maps, and all the iOS spots.
Very good, very good. And another technology-oriented question, you mentioned during your presentation about the potential to push information Again, how does that process work? How is that perhaps similar to location-based advertising? If you could review that point as well.
Sure. So if you're managing Apple Business Chat conversations in your Connect platform, and you're responding to a conversation, and a customer wants to see, we'll say, the available inventory from a link on your website, you would be able to just take that link and send it through the conversation just like you would through a text or a chat. If you want to send video, you can do that as well. I mean, from your agent view, in Connect, you can upload. If you have the content that's available to you, like vehicle history reports, you can send that to them. You can send pictures. You can attach pictures to the conversation. So it would be in your Connect platform and on your computer, and you'd manage it through your Connect platform and then send it through the conversation just like you would through text or a chat.
Very good. The voice you're hearing, that's Therese Ailman, who is the Senior Director of Marketing at Contacted One. She's the special guest for our webinar today. Apple Business Chat for Automotive, how to build your strategy. And during the tail end of your presentation, Therese, you touched on after hours communication and shifting away from a technology more to a human resources type of question. Just any recommendations or best practices you can offer to dealerships who are looking to hold teammates accountable who are supposed to be answering those inquiries, whether they come from this new Apple Business Chat or Facebook or what have you, that it doesn't just roll to that automated service. Any thoughts or recommendations you could offer there as far as to make sure that the dealership personnel are accountable when they're asked to respond?
Absolutely. First of all, let me say that we all know, I don't think there's anybody on this call that doesn't know that this is a relationship business. And conversations are really the currency that we use in this business, because probably hardly anyone, if I say no one, someone will come up with an example, but hardly anyone buys a car without having at least one conversation with somebody somewhere. So what messaging is so good at is making those connections between the consumer and the business in the channels that the consumer wants to connect in. But in order to have a conversation, there's got to be somebody on the other end. We have always advocated that dealer personnel are great to communicate with customers. I mean, usually the most common question is about available inventory. Well, the local dealer is the one who's going to have the best answer to that question. However, you're not always available. I mean, sometimes you may be busy with a customer who's on the lot. Maybe it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it's a weekend, after hours on the weekends, or maybe it's just, everybody was busy doing something else and a conversation slipped through. So what we say is use our technologies and our people to back you up and to tango or to interface with you and your dealership so that you don't have slippage from those conversations when somebody's not there to catch them. And then sometimes dealerships just want us to catch the majority of them and send them the ones that are where people are given strong buying signals, and we can do that too. I mean, it's pretty flexible in how we can set it up, but what we do want is for you to consider how those conversations, not just from Apple Business Chat, but from all of your channels, are going to be managed when you don't have someone available.
Again, the voice you're hearing, that's Therese Ailman, who is the Senior Director of Marketing at Contacted One. She's our special guest for our webinar today, Apple Business Chat for Automotive, how to build your strategy. And just a quick reminder, we are recording today's webinar, so please keep watch of your inbox for a link to that recording so you can review the great material and share it with others at your store. And in our closing moments here, Therese, perhaps a way to wrap us up here. Certainly this new technology literally is coming on board here in the past few weeks and months, just from an overall perspective, how exciting is Apple Business, the capabilities of the platform, just what has been the dialogue like that you and your teammates have had with Apple experts, or just your general summations of how this tool can be a great tool to leverage for dealerships of all sizes?
Well, I think the Apple Business Chat is a great example of what we're seeing across the industry. You know, as more and more people turn to messaging apps and turn to messaging versus phone calls, we're going to see these channels open up. And what we have to be ready to do as an industry and as businesses is be there ready to meet customers in whatever channel they want to communicate in. Maybe it's Apple Business Chat, and maybe it's Facebook. Maybe they're an Android user and they want to connect through Google My Business. Regardless of how the consumer wants to connect, we want our customers to be there to meet that consumer when he or she is looking for information and be able to provide that information to the consumer to help them along the shopper journey. Apple Business Chat is very exciting. Apple, of course, is just a phenomenal company, and I think the consumer experience for Apple is just second to none. They have, they've built their business around creating a fantastic consumer experience, and we see the same thing with Apple Business Chat. That there's a commitment and a focus on making this an excellent consumer experience. So I believe because of that, consumers will adopt Apple Business Chat more and more as more and more businesses get online.
Again, that's our special guest for today's webinar. That's Therese Ailman, the Senior Director of Marketing with Contacted One. Therese, thank you so much for the great information.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And again, please keep watch of your inbox for a link to the recording of this webinar, Apple Business Chat for Automotive, How to Build Your Strategy. For all of us at Cherokee Media Group, I'm Nick Zulovich. We thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you again next time.